Hey, this video is for one of my, I believe she's a new viewer, Little Mermaid. Girl, this one's for you. Uh, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of money to build a shelter like this one here. But depending on what you need a shelter for and what your budget is, you can do it over a period of time. I don't care if you make $20,000 a year, you get a lot $50 a week and put you a pretty good shelter together. You could start tonight. You could decide what you want a shelter for, whether it be burglars, home invasion, tornado, house fire, forest fire, uh, pandemic, nuclear war, nuclear fallout. You have to decide what level of protection you are willing to invest in. You do not have to have a concrete shelter. If you are preparing for nuclear fallout, people say you need 18 inches of concrete. This is just all bullshit. That's not really so. It depends on how far you are from from the nearest military, encampment or base or military structure, large centers of population. It depends on a lot of things. It does no good to have a shelter like this in a basement. If if the house burns down around you, there's really not much you can do about that. So I went with concrete, cinder blocks filled full of concrete, and drilled and anchored them into the basement. This wall is anchored to the actual. This is not the basement wall. This right here is a cinder block wall, 8 inches thick, that is up against the basement wall. So you have an 8-inch thick concrete wall, and then you have an 8-inch thick cinder block concrete rebar reinforced structure, you know, on the inside that is anchored to the other wall. I'm going to walk over here and see if I can see if you can tell. This was the original small tornado room for the house. The roof in this is the bottom of our front porch. But you can see here it has concrete walls that wrap around behind this 2x6. And then you have the cinder block here. And then you have, what's wrong, fellas? Insulating foam, everything's anchored in. Now I know this shelter still needs a lot of work, but in your shelter, no, there's bleach on the floor. Can't you smell it? Stay out. Dad's cleaning. Go play with your toys, handsome. But this shelter looked a lot bigger when I didn't have everything in it. You can see that it's getting full. But this depends on what you need. I mean, you could start tonight. You could sit down, decide what you want a shelter for, how many people are going to be in the shelter. I recommend a minimum of 10 cubic foot or 10 square foot per person per day or whatever. You don't want to be shoulder to shoulder, asshole to asshole with anybody in a shelter, no matter how much you love them. Everybody will need their space, and stuff like this, which is stuff that you would need after a nuclear war, because everything outside would be contaminated or just completely wasted away and gone. You need blankets, you need first aid kits, you need fishing supplies, you need food stock, life jackets, sleeping bags, first aid kits, coveralls, propane, rubber boots, wet wipes, candles, candle holders, cooking utensils. You're gonna need food. There's all kind of crazy shit you're gonna need. Look, lamp oil lamps, aluminum disposable utensils, aluminum foil, all this kind of stuff takes up room. And down here, I got these Coleman coolers that are just full of camping supplies, camping stoves, wool socks, gloves, hand warmers, knives, fire starting devices, jackets, coats. You're going to need a large supply, which mine is dwindling, of toilet paper. I got radioactive survey meters for radiation, candles, little shelves. You're going to need some kind of toilet, some kind of setup for a toilet. This is just a handicap toilet that you put a 5-gallon bucket under there with trash bags. You're going to need some diaper genies like this for hygiene, like to put your sanitary napkins in, your tampons, maxi pads, all that kind of stuff to dispose of it while you're in the shelter. If you go number 2, you're going to have to wipe it and put that paper somewhere. So you just drop that into the diaper genies, and they need to put it in there like a baby diaper, flip it over, and it's gone. But everything takes up space. I wish I would have built this shelter a little bit bigger. So don't build your shelter too small. If I had to build a shelter again, I would actually build my shelter out of 2x6 lumber and plywood. It's really simple. It's really easy. Don't got to be a man to do it. A woman could build a 2x6 wall and cover it with press board, ABS press board, which is the plywood like this on my roof that looks like, well, it is. It's pieces of press wood all glued together. So, it's out of the weather. It's indoors. You could, and it's cheap. It's only like $12 a sheet. So you can frame in with 2x6s, frame in, and then put your press board up all on the inside. And when you have money, you put one layer press board, which will go 4 foot high. So it's 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. One layer of plywood would go this high. So you only have to go 2 sheets high to get your head clearance. But if the concrete is not something that you wanted to deal with, you could frame it all in with 2x6. Get your dad over there, or get your brother over there, or hopefully your old man is on board with you, your girlfriend or whatever, and get the frame up. Get a masonry drill bit, drill into the concrete, anchor it down to the ground, and just go from there. You can research on YouTube anything on how to build anything. But my recommendation would be to build it out of the 2x6 and plywood, because you could always later on dump the walls full of cement, hand mix it up in your basement, your backyard, or wherever you're going to do it at with Sackcrete. You don't have to call a concrete truck. Every one of these bricks in the shelter, I dry stacked them, I surface bonded them, and then I filled them full of Sackcrete, which is all mixed up by hand. And let me tell you what, it was really a lot of work. I carried every one of these bricks down here myself. I carried the rebar. That rebar is real heavy. So you need to determine what length or what height you want your walls. If they're going to be cinder block like this. The good thing about cinder block is if you only have $15 1 week, you can go down to your local hardware store and you can say, hey, give me 12 of your concrete 8x8x16 cinder blocks, and you tell them that you just want to come in every week and get a dozen, and then after 10 weeks you have 120 brick, which is really not much, but a little bit is better than nothing. And if you buy your rebar, You can buy your rebar already cut. Do what? No, I'm talking to a video for my YouTube channel. Huh?
Can I go in there?
Yeah, come on in. But stay away from there. It's a broken light bulb. So, anyway, just be sure to allow enough space. You're going to need some ventilation. Ventilation is easy. Let me take you over here and show you some ventilation that we got that's 12 volt. Okay, this is just some simple PVC with a 12 volt blower in it out of a blow dryer, and something that we rigged up where we can just have on a deep cycle battery down here and clamp it up to the battery.
Dad, why can't I go in there?
And this thing will run for a good week or two steady off a 12 volt. Yeah, baby. I'm making a video, so let's keep it down. Off a 12 volt battery, this will pull air in, and this is just a PVC pipe, and out the roof in case the house burns or whatever. The pipe that goes into this is thick wall black metal pipe with an NBC gas mask filter mounted to it, encased in concrete, where the filter sticks out of the concrete, but it's NBC, so all the air coming in is filtered from nuclear, biological, and chemical, which is really easy to get the filters on eBay or just about any military surplus store for about $8 a piece. You tell them you want an NBC filter, a 40 millimeter for an Israeli gas mask or UN gas mask, but you want to stick with the 40 millimeter. And you want to try to get one that is a newer production from the late 80s, early 90s. So that's my air intake. So I got all the kids. That's what's up with that. She went to the casino. I got all these blankets here, which I got to fold. They're all washed and cleaned. I took them off these bunk beds about a month ago. I know. I've been working a lot. And washed them. I got to get these folded tonight. I got a bunch of DJ equipment there because being in the basement, the floor will condensate moisture in the shelter. It looks like it's leaking in, but that's just condensation on the floor. So you have to keep that cleaned up or run a dehumidifier down here. But you can see here, you can see I got this wire hanging here. And we got another, this is an air exhaust vent. No, I take it back. This is the secondary air intake. Is what this is. It's got the 12 volt blower motor out of a Vita Sassoon 12 volt blow dryer. You just clip off the I think it's called a regulator. You just clip it off and run it directly 12 volt positive, and negative to negative. In case one air intake burns up, we got a backup. And what that does, it creates what is called a positive pressure in your shelter. When you're pulling air in from both of these, it will keep a overpressure on the shelter, which will keep dust from coming in from the cracks and stuff like that in the concrete or in the shelter. As far as support beams go, I just put these little L brackets here. These little metal brackets are just nailed in. This is a treated 4x4. And I crank